What's up, awesome YouTubers? Rhine1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you all. And today I'm here to do another countdown to Halloween video on my channel. I know it's September, but once September 1st hits, I am ready for some October. I'm ready for Halloween season, like many of you are. And so this year I'm doing my countdown from September all the way until Halloween Day. So I hope you enjoy this series of videos. Today I'm here to rank and talk about the Conjuring universe. Talking about all 10 movies from my least favorite to my favorite. So I'm excited to dig into this list, being that I really don't talk about these movies too much. If you catched Wednesday night's show of the Double Edge Cinema podcast, me and TJ talked about the main 4 Conjuring movies and ranked those 4 films. In this video, I'm here to talk about all 10 films in the Conjuring universe. So kicking off my list at number 10 is Annabelle from 2014. This is by far my least favorite movie on this list, but I don't find this movie to be horrible. I just find this movie to be okay. It's a film that I can go and watch again, every couple years. And there's not a terrible thing about this movie. It's just pretty basic, Annabelle for me was the scariest in the first Conjuring movie, and I think the character and the overall Annabelle movies did improve after this film. But with this movie, it definitely kind of had a kind of mediocre story. I hate to use that word, but it's the truth. I did find some of the scares to be pretty, good. Nothing special, but, it had some good jump scares. The acting's fine. It just really, when it comes down to it, is the story. It definitely just doesn't have a strong story to it. I like the Annabelle character, but for her first movie, her first standalone movie, I definitely find this movie to be just kind of the bottom of the list as far as the Conjuring movies go. And definitely the weakest Annabelle movie. Coming in at number 9 is The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Very similar to Annabelle, except it's slightly better. And when I say very similar to Annabelle, I think the overall story is just okay. Obviously, the true life case is definitely better than this movie. Where this movie is better than Annabelle, and why it ranks higher above Annabelle, is I think the performances overall are fantastic. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are always amazing as Ed and Lorraine Warren. I really love their chemistry, and I still love their chemistry in this movie. I love the opening. I think the exorcism opening is awesome. And I think the third act is pretty solid. It's where you get into the middle act of this film that I just find the film to be kind of boring and pretty slow. And I can deal with slow movies. Like, I watch lengthy films. But with this one, rewatching it, for me, it's definitely the weakest of the main Conjuring movies, and one of my least favorite movies in this universe. Coming in at number 8 is a movie that used to be higher on my list. It's now in the bottom of the list. And I would say after this is where I enjoy the movies a little bit more. But this movie used to be higher, and I rewatched it. And while I think there are great elements in the movie, once again, it's just not one of my favorite Annabelle movies anymore, and one of my least favorite of these Conjuring films, and that is Annabelle Creation. I love the director. I actually think the direction is great. The performances are great. It's just the story. While it's definitely better than the previous Annabelle movie that we had as far as story goes, I do like, the backstory that we have with Annabelle. This movie was so much better in theaters. Like, I loved it in theaters. And I loved it the first couple times I watched it. It had been a while since I had seen this movie, and so when I rewatched it, leading up to me seeing The Conjuring: The Last Rites, I just found the story to be kind of slow, and it's not as memorable as some of the other movies I'm going to talk about on this list higher up here. Are some of the movies after this perfect? No, I think the top 3 are perfect movies, but there are definitely better movies in my opinion compared to Annabelle Creations now. Again, great performances, great direction. I love the setting. I think the setting is great. I just think when it comes down to it, it's the story, and the scares don't really hold up as well when you rewatch it because you know what to expect. For me, again, this is not a bad movie. I think it's a good film. It's a film I definitely enjoy. But for me, the Annabelle movies overall are definitely some of my least favorite ones. Again, kudos to the director, and the acting is great, but other than that, it's got a couple of good, like, spooky moments in the film, but besides that, it's just a good film. Coming in at I think this is number 7, is The Curse of La Llorona. I rewatched this one last night, and for the longest time, I thought this movie was pretty bad. Like, I think what it was is I went into the movie expecting to love it, and I found it to be very disappointing, and there were some really laugh out loud moments and cheesy stuff about it. And so, it had been a while since I'd seen it, and I rewatched it last night, and I really enjoy this movie. I pretty much love the idea of La Llorona. I think it is a great character to have on the screen. I think it's an interesting character. I overall find the story to be really good. Is it super scary? No. Is it one of the better movies? Like, is it, better than the next movies I'm going to talk about? Obviously not. However, rewatching it, it is definitely not the worst of these movies. And I at least find the story to be a little bit more interesting. I find, the characters to be interesting. I think the acting is overall really good here. It's a movie that kind of over time, no one really talks about anymore when it comes to the Conjuring universe. Does it feel like sometimes that the movie is kind of shoehorned into the universe, just kind of placed in there? Yes, it does, just because you do have a moment in the movie where the priest from... you do have a moment in the film where the priest from the first Annabelle movie, standalone Annabelle movie, pops in here, and they kind of have that connection there. But overall, when you look at the film, it's definitely a film that stands out from these movies, just because it could be its own movie, but because of the Annabelle tie-in, it is in this universe, and that's why I place it on this list. Again, quite entertaining. Eerie moments. I rewatched it last night, and I found there were some eerie moments in the film. And again, I like the character of La Llorona. I think it's a spooky character, and, again, not a bad movie like I remembered it being. So it is on my list at number 7. Coming in at number 6, I'm sorry, is the newest movie in the franchise, and that is The Conjuring: The Last Rites. I really enjoyed this movie. I've talked about it on my podcast with TJ, so if you haven't seen the Double Edge Cinema podcast newest episode, go watch that. Hear me and TJ talk about those movies and actually talk about paranormal moments that we've had in our life. But I really enjoyed this movie. Once again, I think Vera and Patrick are just wonderful together. This was a overall really good send-off to the characters. I think it could have been better. I think that the family, or I know that the family in this movie, in my opinion, were kind of underdeveloped as far as the writing goes. You know, with these Conjuring movies, especially the main movies, you really get to know the family that's in, you know, danger, and they're being terrorized by a spirit or a entity. And in this one, you know, you really didn't get to know them. They were kind of underdeveloped, like I mentioned. You know, you tried to get to know them. You know, they, you know, have a little bit of investment into this movie. But when it comes down to it, it is a film that is made for Ed and Lorraine Warren, and this being Patrick and Vera's final performance in the universe. I think the actress who played Judy Warren was great. I think her husband or boyfriend, Tony Warren, was great, or just the character Tony was great. Overall, really solid performances. Some good jump scares. Again, just a film I really enjoyed. It could have been better, but it's definitely better than the Conjuring 3, and it's better than the previous movies I mentioned. I really would have loved to have seen James Wan direct this movie. Michael Chavez is a solid director. Like, I think he's directed some really good stuff in this universe. And, like, you know, he knows how to direct. I just would have preferred to have had James Wan direct the final movie with Patrick and Vera in it. Because when it comes down to it, James Wan's Conjuring movies are way better than a lot of these movies on this list. And that includes Michael Chavez's work in this universe. But again, Conjuring: The Last Rite, I really enjoyed it. I'm so happy it's, you know, a very successful movie at the box office, and we're going out with a bang. So pretty awesome stuff there. Going out with a win. Coming in at number 5 is The Nun 2. Speaking of Michael Chavez, The Nun 2, for me, is his best movie. Rewatching it last night, this movie was definitely better than my first watch seeing the film. I saw it in theaters. I liked it, but I really enjoy this movie a lot. Actually, it's like on the border of loving it, but I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I found the film to be entertaining. I find the story to be overall really good. I love our returning characters. I really enjoyed our new characters. The movie does have some good, fun scares in the movie. And overall, I just find the movie to be very entertaining. It's a spooky film. It's, you know, not perfect, but I just found myself enjoying this movie a lot more the previous night than I did when I saw it in theaters. So the Nun is one of my favorite characters in this universe. I think Valak, though, is scarier in The Conjuring 2. Kind of like with Annabelle. Like, I feel like Annabelle was the best in The Conjuring. The standalone Annabelle movies, one I love, which I'll talk about soon. The other films I find to be good. But when it comes to Annabelle standalone movies, and even the Nun standalone movies, while I think the Nun standalone movies now are better overall than Annabelle's standalone movies, I still think that the introduction of these characters were a lot scarier in the main Conjuring films. But The Nun 2, again, film I really enjoyed, and yeah, definitely a better watch this time around. Coming in at number 4, these are all movies now that I personally love, and I know that this movie gets so much hate. I don't understand it because I just find it to be just so eerie sometimes. Maybe it's the setting, the atmosphere could be that. I think the acting is great in this movie. I find the film to be entertaining. It's weird to say, but it's like comfort spookiness, and it's a film that if I want a comfort horror movie, I'll put this film on, and that is The Nun, the first Nun movie. It went back and forth with me. Do I like The Nun 2 better, or do I like this one? And ultimately, I still think this one is a better film. I find the film to be scary at times, not overly scary, but there's definitely some scary moments sprinkled throughout. I find the film to be eerie. I find it very enjoyable. The character of the nun, Valak, is one of my favorite Conjuring characters in this universe. And I really love the directing. I can't remember the director's name. I know he did, I think, the movie The Hollow prior to this. I think that's what that movie was called. But, you know, this movie gets a lot of hate, and I've loved it since I first saw it in theaters, and it's literally one of my go-to, you know, horror movies if I want comfort. I know it's weird to say with The Nun, but it's true. It just has something comforting about it, and I go back and I watch it a lot. Again, I love the setting. I love the eerie atmosphere. I think the acting is overall great in this movie, and I find the movie to be scary fun. So for me, it's a movie I love. I know it gets a lot of hate. I don't care. I just love it so much. Coming in at number 3, this might be a little baffling for people, but The Conjuring 2 is number 3 for me. Again, I love the film. I think it is a fantastic story. This is where it gets really tough for me because my top 3 are like, you know, 9.5, 10 out of 10 movies. Like they're up there. They are very much up there on my ranking list, and I rank them so high as far as ratings go. I love The Conjuring 2. I saw this movie 2 times in theaters, and I find the movie still to be scary, find it still to be eerie. I love our performances. The main actress in the movie who plays the girl in the film, I'm drawing a blank on the character's name and the actress's name. She gives such a fantastic performance, especially in the moment where she is talking to Vera Farmiga's character in the backyard, and your heart just feels for this girl because no one believes her, and yet she's going through all this terror. Like, it's just so sad when you watch that scene and you feel bad for this girl. And even towards the end of the movie where she pretty much has to fake that she was faking it in order to save her family, it's heartbreaking because here you have all these people that are just leaving, and you know that they're still going to be terrorized. Like, the ghosts are still going to go after them. She's going to have to live through this until you get to the very ending where Vera and Patrick come back. But I love the performances overall. Again, I think Vera and Patrick are amazing. This is some of their best work in this universe, and I absolutely love this. James Wan is one of my favorite horror movie directors to date, and I really love this film so much. So it's hard to rank this movie at number 3 for me. But coming in at number 2 is Annabelle Comes Home, a movie that surprised me in theaters just because I walked in knowing I was going to enjoy the film at least. But I walked out of the theater loving this movie so much. I think the movie's very entertaining. I think it has a great story. Awesome performances. You know, Vera and Patrick in this movie, they're not in it throughout the whole film, but their presence when they are on screen is awesome. Love them so much. McKenna Grace, who plays Judy Warren in this movie, really shines in this movie. She's the best performance by far. But I love our other actors in this film, the 2 babysitters in the movie. I think they are great in the film as well. Very happy with their performances. There's a couple of irritating moments, like, you know, where the one friend, she goes into the museum and clearly there's signs saying, you know, don't touch this, don't touch that. Like, you know, a demonic presence could attach to you if you do this. And she's just touching everything, which is, you know, the plot of the film and why these spirits overall come after these, kids in this movie or teenagers in this movie. But, you know, when she started touching everything, I was getting a little irritated with her because I was like, why are you doing this? You clearly can read that it says do not touch anything, and you do it anyway. And then you provoked Annabelle by pretty much letting her out of her case. And that's what starts the terrorizing in this movie, all the horrific things that happen. What surprised me the most when I rewatched the film is it is a scary movie. Like, in my personal opinion, this is a scary film. I was freaking out a couple times. I was kind of like on the edge of my seat watching the movie. I was talking at the screen. I find myself doing that a lot more now as I'm getting older. I'm getting scared easier, and I'm talking to the screen. It's kind of bad when you're in the theater, but at home I'm like, I don't care. I can talk, whatever. But I love the film. I love the story. I will always say that this movie could have been titled a Conjuring, something. But it is, in my opinion, the best Annabelle movie. There's a lot of things surrounding not just Annabelle, but surrounding the rest of the film that make the movie so good and so scary. And it is a fun movie to watch. And it takes place around like Thanksgiving, Halloween. You see some pumpkins sprinkled throughout. You have that fall feel. It's definitely going to be a go-to Conjuring movie for me going forward, that I'm going to pull from the shelf and watch. But coming in at number 1 is probably no surprise here for anybody. And if you heard the podcast the other night, this is my favorite Conjuring movie, but this is also just my favorite movie in the universe, and that is the original Conjuring movie. A movie still today that scares me so much. And a lot of it is the stuff that you see, or you don't see. I'm sorry. The stuff that you don't see in the movie is the scariest stuff. And that mixes in with the performances at the time. There's one scene that will always stick out with me as one of the scariest scenes, and it's the scene where Joey King, she plays one of the daughters in this movie, and she's being dragged, her legs being pulled in bed. And she wakes up one night, and she sees something behind a door that we, the audience, don't see, and her family doesn't see. But she sees something. And it's within her performance that makes that scene so good, so heartbreaking for her, and so terrifying. I find it very scary. I find this whole movie to be very creepy and very scary. If I watch this movie pitch black in the dark at home by myself, I would be terrified. I love it so much, though. I think this is the strongest movie, obviously, in this universe, and it is the strongest Conjuring movie. Like, of the 4 films, it's the strongest one. And it's one of the scariest movies of all time for me. I put this up there with movies like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby and Halloween and Blair Witch Project as just some of the best horror movies out there, but also some of the scariest horror movies out there. And each one of those movies that I mentioned, plus many more on my list of the scariest movies of all time, there's a reason why they're scary. They're all not scary for the same reason. It just has some type of impact for me. And this movie is definitely still a very scary movie and one of my all-time favorites. So James Wan, brilliant director. Loved his directing in Conjuring 2. I loved his directing here. I love his directing overall in all his movies. For me, in my opinion, there's not a bad James Wan movie. There might be a couple that are slightly disappointing, but I can go and I can watch any of his movies and either enjoy them, really enjoy them, or love them. So I think he's definitely still one of the greatest directors that we have today. So that is my ranking of the Conjuring universe. I hope you enjoyed it. It might be a little controversial. That's okay, though, because we all have our opinions at the end of the day on movies and in life and in this Conjuring universe. So where do you rank these movies? My list is a little controversial because I have a lot of films that are considered great movies on the bottom of the list, and I have a lot of what are considered the worst movies at the top of the list. But I don't find any of these movies to be bad. At the end of the day, if I put on a Conjuring movie, I am not bored. Can slightly be bored, I take that back, but I'm not disappointed, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. I don't find the movies to be bad, so I'm satisfied, I guess. You know, either hugely satisfied or just satisfied with, you know, watching or rewatching a Conjuring movie. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my ranking. Let me know your ranking, and stay tuned for many videos in this series of Rhine1988's Countdown to Halloween. So I'll be doing ranking videos. I'll be talking about franchises. Mostly, again, you'll hear me review movies, either brand new movies or movies that I love that I haven't talked about or I haven't talked about in a long time on this channel. And every year I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick and choose the movies that I want to revisit and talk about, and put them in my Countdown to Halloween videos. So going forward, this is a fun series to do every October, every September, leading up to Halloween, and I hope you enjoy these too. So, as always, y'all are awesome, y'all rock, and with a positive out with a negative, I'll talk to y'all later, and I love y'all so much, and remember to always be yourself, because you are amazing, and you are beautiful. Bye, everybody.